Hi there, it's me, Finn. And tonight, we're going to talk about something people often imagine, but few truly understand. You've probably heard of medieval taverns, in stories, video games, maybe even in the background of a movie. But what were they really like? Who ran them? Who walked through their doors? Was it all beer and brawls? Or something a little softer, slower, maybe even stranger? Where did the smell come from? What did the stools feel like? Did the people really sing? Tonight we're going to answer those questions. So let's start by subscribing. Now close your eyes and imagine it's a chilly evening in the late 1300s. The sun has dipped below the hills. You're walking along a dirt road, boots caked in old mud, following the sound of distant laughter. Ahead, through the trees and mist, you see a crooked wooden building glowing with the light of fire and candle. You're about to step into a medieval tavern. The door creaks as you push it open. It doesn't swing like a modern door. It drags slightly, heavy with age and warped by time. You have to nudge it a bit harder, and it lets out a groan as it moves. The sound of voices and low laughter rolls out like a warm wind. Inside, the air is thick and golden with candlelight. The scent hits you first. It's not unpleasant, but there's the musky scent of damp wool cloaks, the sharpness of sweat, the faint bitterness of ale spilled into old wood, and the sweeter trace of roasted onions and barley stew from a pot simmering near the hearth. If you breathe in deeper, you might even catch the waxy smell of beeswax candles and the subtle smoke of burning oak. Your boots knock on the planks beneath you. They're rough and uneven, each board a little bowed, worn smooth in places by decades of muddy heels and hobnailed soles. This is not a polished floor, not by any means, but it feels alive. The tavern is built to withstand the weight of stories and spilled secrets. No one looks up right away. They're used to new faces. Travelers come through often. Merchants, messengers, shepherd boys too tired to return home, farmhands hoping for stew and warmth, soldiers off duty, and once in a while someone stranger. You brush off your cloak, or maybe someone does it for you. A friendly tap from a local who grins and mutters something about the rain. You can't quite catch every word, his accent is thick, maybe local to the region. But the gesture is warm. You step deeper inside. The ceiling is low with exposed beams, darkened by soot. Bundles of dried herbs hang from some of them. Sage, thyme, maybe lavender if the tavern mistress is kind. They're not just decoration. They help mask the smell of rot and keep away flies. To your right, there's a long, thick oak bench. Two men are hunched over a wooden board, playing something like dice. Only the pieces look homemade, wooden cubes carved by hand, slightly off in shape. Their coins clink softly, copper and pewter tokens, worn smooth. They barely notice you. On your left there's a hearth, large, blackened with years of smoke. A big iron pot hangs over the flames, and something brown and bubbling swirls inside. The stew. There's a woman crouched next to it, stirring it slowly with a long wooden spoon. She has a kerchief on her head, and soot on her arms, and she hums a low tune that seems older than the building itself. You don't rush. There's no need. Time feels different here. A barkeep stands behind a thick, scarred counter, wiping a pewter tankard with a piece of old linen. He's an older man with a beard the color of ash, arms strong and worn from years of carrying barrels. He nods to you. Not a word, just a nod. That's enough. There's no menu. No printed paper. You ask what's cooking by tilting your chin toward the pot, and he gives you a slow answer. Barley roots, onion, bit of mutton bone, he says. Warm enough. You nod. It sounds perfect. There's a low wall on the far side of the room, separating the drinking space from what might be sleeping quarters or storage. You can't see beyond it, but you hear movement, soft thumps, and a door creaking. Someone lives here. Maybe the barkeep, maybe his wife, maybe their children sleep behind that wall. Or maybe a few travelers have paid for a mattress stuffed with straw and covered in a wool blanket. You settle on a stool. It's not perfectly round. It wobbles slightly. The table in front of you has carvings in it. Someone scratched a bird, Or maybe it's a crude fox into the surface. There are initials too, marks from knives, burn circles from tankards, set too close to candle stubs. The light flickers, everything is candle and fire. The shadows move slowly, like they have their own thoughts. The warmth starts to soak into your hands, your arms, the back of your neck. You glance around. At one table, a group of farmhands laugh quietly. One of them has a jug of something strong, cider maybe. Or meat. He's got a wide, toothless grin, and keeps wiping his nose on his sleeve. Across from him, a younger man with dirt under his nails listens intently. They're talking about the harvest, or the price of barley. Nothing dangerous. Just like. At another bench, closer to the wall, two women speak in whispers. One knits, her fingers moving like spiders over rough brown wool. The other smokes a pipe, the scent of burning herbs drifting lazily around her. The door creaks again. A new visitor steps in, cloak dripping, hood low. The wind gusts through for a moment, then fades. No one turns to look. That's the tavern rule. You don't look too long at a new face. You let them settle. You let the tavern decide if they belong. The barkeep nods again, but slower this time. He recognizes this one. You wonder who they are. A peddler, a hunter, someone who's been gone a long time. You return your gaze to your stew, which has now been set in front of you in a thick clay bowl. A rough wooden spoon rests on its edge. The broth is hot and a little salty. The meat is. You can't tell where the onion ends and the barley begins. But the warmth is everywhere. Someone behind you sings. It starts low, just a murmur. Then another voice joins in. It's not a formal song. No instruments, just the soft rise and fall of voices. Remembering an old tune. Maybe it's about a soldier who didn't come home. Maybe it's about a girl with a red ribbon, or a dog who never stopped barking. The words don't matter. The melody is what matters. It rises gently, then fades again like smoke. You close your eyes for a second. The bench creaks. Someone sits beside you. They don't speak. They don't need to. It's just someone else tired from the road, like you. You hear them exhale. Maybe you do too. You feel something you haven't felt in a while. Stillness. Not silence. Not emptiness. Just stillness. There's no clock ticking. No hum of wires. Just the sound of fire. The soft clink of cups. The distant footsteps of someone upstairs. Maybe the innkeeper's daughter. Maybe just the roof settling under the cold. You take another spoonful of stew. It's thicker now, cooled slightly. You chew slowly. The carrots are soft. There's something comforting about knowing this same stew, this exact flavor, was tasted hundreds of times before you. Generations, farmers, monks, bakers, soldiers, they all sat right here. Maybe even in this same seat. Maybe the bird carved into the table is 60 years old. Someone walks past you with a mug of ale. The foam spills over slightly. He laughs when it drips onto his boot. The barkeep scolds him gently. Says, watch it or you'll feed the floorboards. You smile, quietly, just for you. There's no music from a lute, no wild dance. That happens sometimes. But not tonight. Tonight is quiet, calm, steady. Outside you hear the wind pick up. A branch scratches against the outer wall. Somewhere distant, a dog barks once, then stops. Inside, the warmth holds you like a thick blanket. You lean back, sip the last of your broth, and feel something unexpected. Peace. You didn't expect to feel peace here, but you do. And as the candles burn low and the fire crackles in the hearth, you realize something else. You might not want to leave just yet. You stay seated a little longer, your spoon resting in the now empty bowl. The warmth of the stew still lingers in your chest. Around you, the tavern continues its quiet rhythm. The flickering candlelight dances on the old wooden wall. It's not too bright, just enough to let you see the shapes of faces, cups, hands, and old beams that hold the place up. The woman by the hearth, the one stirring the pot, is now ladling a second bowl for someone else. She hums again, the same tune, or maybe a new one. But it's just as slow. There's something calming about it. She doesn't speak much. She doesn't need to. Her hands know every step of the job. There's a rhythm to this place. The barkeep shifts slightly behind the counter. You hear the creak of the wooden floor under his. He fills another cup from a barrel that sits low behind him. He doesn't pour quickly. It's a slow, careful tilt. The ale is dark and foamy, and the cup is thick, made of pewter or clay. You can't quite tell. He places the cup down for a man whose hands are red and callous. A stonemason, maybe, or a tanner. He drinks without saying thank you. But the barkeep doesn't seem to mind. They've probably known each other for years. There are rules here, but none are written down. You feel them more than you hear them. You don't sit too close to someone unless invited. You don't ask too many questions. You don't laugh too loud, unless everyone is laughing. And you definitely don't touch someone else's cup, even by mistake. That's a silent rule that keeps the peace. You notice now that every stool and bench is slightly different. Some are shorter, worn down by time. Others have cushions made from old sacks, filled with straw or wool scraps. One of them even has a little embroidered patch sewn onto it, maybe from a wife or daughter, trying to make the hardwood a little soft. The table in front of you has a line of wax melted into one corner. A candle must have burned all the way down one night, dripping and hardening as it went. No one scraped it off. It just became part of the table. Someone walks by you. A woman with long hair, braided simply and tied with string. She carries a small tray with a wedge of hard bread and a slice of cheese. She moves carefully, balancing it all with ease. She smiles at someone sitting near the hearth. An older man, alone, with his back straight and his hands folded on his lap. She places the tray in front of him and nods once. Still, barely a word spoken. This tavern has its own quiet language, made of nods, glances, the way someone tilts a cup or lifts a spoon. It's like a dance, but a slow one, where each step has been practiced over many years. You look up and see the rafters above. They're thick with smoke stains and spider webs. Some of the beams have names scratched into them. Maybe past travelers, maybe workers. One of them says Thomas, Thurstein 21. Another just says JW. You wonder who they were. Did they sit where you're sitting now? Did they sleep upstairs? Did they fall in love in this tavern? Or get into a quiet argument they'd remember forever? You glance toward the far wall again, the one that hides the sleeping quarters. You still can't see beyond it, but you hear something now. Footsteps, soft and slow, and the faint creak of a bed being turned down. Someone's staying the night. The barkeep catches your gaze and nods once more. He's letting you know that yes, there are beds available, nothing fancy, but dry and off the ground. That's enough. You nod back. Not yet. You want to stay in the tavern just a little longer. The door opens again. A blast of wind pushes through. Cold air swirls in, and a few candles flicker dangerously. A man enters, shaking off the chill. He carries a bundle wrapped in cloth, long and thin, maybe a lute, maybe tools. He leans it gently against the wall before removing his cloak. This one is younger than most here. Bright eyes, hands that haven't known decades of hard work yet. He moves differently, not rude, just curious. He looks around as if each table tells a story. He sits near the door, close enough to leave if needed. The barkeep watches him quietly, then pours another cup and sets it down without a word. The young man bows his head in thanks. You hear the faint whistle of the wind outside. The shutters rattle once, then stop. The fire crackles again. The warmth wraps around the room like a woolen cloak. Someone laughs now. A low chuckle from one of the farmers near the corner. It's not loud, just warm. The kind of laugh that comes after a long story told slow. He takes a sip of mead and leans back, his shoulders finally relaxing after a hard day. The woman knitting by the wall puts down her work. She flexes her fingers slowly. The firelight catches the edge of her silver hair. She takes a sip from a small clay cup, then folds her hands in her lap. She's not sleepy yet, just content. You realize you are too. It's not often you can feel this calm without even knowing the names of the people around you. You rise from your stool slowly, stretching your legs. No one watches you. They're used to people moving around. You take a step toward the fire. The heat is stronger here. The stones around it are cracked and blackened, but solid. This fire has been burning for hours. maybe days, in shifts. The ashes have stories of their own. You crouch near it for a moment, just feeling the glow on your face. Your hand. There's a log resting at the edge, half burned, hissing gently. The woman who'd been stirring the stew stands beside you now. She's not cooking anymore, just standing, warming her hands. You glance over and she gives you a small smile, not wide, just a tired, gentle lift of the lips. Then she returns to her seat by the wall. There's no need to speak. A bell rings softly somewhere in the back. Not a loud chime, just a single tone. It's a signal. The barkeep moves toward the far wall. He disappears behind the low partition. You hear wood sliding, fabric rustling, a broom maybe. Then he reappears, carrying 2 more cups, one for you if you want it. You take it. The drink is warm and slightly sweet, spiced cider. There's a hint of cloves and something that might be cinnamon, or maybe dried orange peel. It coats your tongue gently, with no sharp bite. You sip slowly. The young man near the door unwraps his bundle. It's not a lute, it's a flute, carved from wood, polished smooth, with delicate etchings near the mouthpiece. He brings it to his lips and plays a soft, clear note. No one stops him. No one complains. He begins a slow melody, one that rises like smoke, twists like old ivy, then settles gently in the room. It isn't loud. It doesn't ask for attention. It simply weaves itself between the candles and bowls and boots, like it always belonged. You close your eyes for a moment. The flute, the fire, the warm cider, the worn wooden bench beneath you. All of it begins to feel like part of the same thing. The tavern isn't just a building, it's a memory that keeps living. Night after night, in the sound of spoons and the flicker of wax, you open your eyes slowly. Nothing's changed, but everything feels more real now. You think to yourself, maybe you'll stay the night after all. Maybe this is exactly where you were meant to be. The cup in your hands is still warm, and the melody of the flute is fading now. The young man has stopped playing. He lowers the wooden instrument into his lap, and leans his head back against the wall behind him. His eyes close, just for a moment. No one claps, no one praises him. In the tavern, songs are like sighs. They rise, they drift, and they disappear. Gently, you finish the last of your cider and set the cup down on the table. The barkeep, who's now wiping off the counter with a fresh cloth, sees the empty cup and nods slowly. He doesn't come to take it away yet. He gives you space. You stretch your legs again. This time, when you look toward the far wall, the partition that hides the sleeping quarters, something feels different. It's time. You rise slowly. The stiffness in your knees reminds you that you've been sitting for a while. The fire still burns behind you, warm and steady, but the space around it is quieter now. People have started to move less. Voices are fewer, slower, softer. As you walk toward the partition, your boots tap lightly on the wood. The sound feels too loud now, so you walk slower. The light dims slightly. As you pass the dividing wall, one small candle glows on a little table in the corner, casting shadows along the planks. The barkeep is already waiting there, standing beside a narrow staircase, made of creaking oak boards. He gestures upward without a word. You nod. The stairs groan under your steps, not in protest, just in warning. They let the house know someone is coming up. 1, 2, 3 steps. You hold the railing with your hand, rough and splintered but sturdy. At the top of the stairs, the air is cool. The warmth from the fire below doesn't rise all the way here. It's quiet, so quiet. There's a long, low hallway with just 3 doors. The candlelight from downstairs doesn't reach this far, but a lantern hangs from a hook near the wall. Its glass is smudged, but it gives off a soft amber glow. The barkeep walks behind you now, silent as ever. He opens the first door on the left, and motions for you to step inside. The room is small, barely the size of a horse stall. The ceiling is slanted, following the slope of the tavern's roof. There's a simple wooden frame, supporting a mattress stuffed with straw. A single wool blanket is folded at the foot. A candle stub sits in a metal saucer on the windowsill. The window is made of thick, wavy glass. Not clear but good enough to catch the flicker of moonlight. You step in. The floor creaks beneath you. The barkeep sets a small pitcher of water down on a stool beside the bed. Then he hands you a metal key. It doesn't go to the door. It's for the little box tucked into the corner of the room. A lockbox for coins, jewelry, or anything else you might need to keep safe. Travelers appreciate small kindnesses like that. He doesn't say goodnight, just nods, as always, and disappears back down the stairs. You stand still for a moment, letting the silence settle around you. It's different from the quiet downstairs. There, the silence was alive, shaped by voices and fire. Here, it feels like still water, like the space between thoughts. You hear the faintest creak of beams shifting above you, the house sighing in its sleep. You light the candle on the sill. The flame dances gently, then settles into a low, steady burn. Its light makes the room glow in patches, golden on the bed frame, shadowy near the corners. You sit down slowly. The mattress is coarse, but it doesn't matter. You lean back, one hand running along the folded wool blanket. It's thick, with a few rough seams. Maybe it was stitched by hand. You set your pack on the floor beside you. Not much in it. Maybe some dried fruit, a few coins, a wrapped charm from home. You slide it under the bed. Safe enough. The pitcher of water beside you is cool to the touch. You take a sip from the clay cup next to it. It tastes clean, like it came from a nearby well. Maybe the one behind the tavern, half hidden among weeds and low stones. You glance at the lockbox in the corner. The key sits in your hand, warm from your skin. You don't have much to hide, but you open it anyway, just to see. Inside it's empty, except for a scrap of old cloth. A forgotten piece from the last guest maybe. You tuck your coin purse inside, then close the lid with a soft click. The sound echoes slightly in the quiet room. You blow out the candle on the sill. Darkness falls, but not full darkness. Moonlight filters through the cloudy glass window, casting faint silvery stripes across the floor. You lie back onto the straw mattress and pull the wool blanket over your chest. It smells faintly of smoke, not dirty, just like it's been near fires, near warmth, near life. You listen. At first all you hear is your own breath. Then if you're very still, you notice other things. The floorboards creaking under someone's feet down the hall. The soft murmur of a voice below. Maybe the barkeep talking to his wife. A gust of wind against the shutters, followed by the tap-tap of something brushing the window frame. And somewhere, maybe in another room, the sound of someone snoring, low and even. A sound so human, so ordinary, it brings a small unexpected comfort. You shift under the blanket, finding a good position. The straw pokes a bit in some places, but you adjust. You tuck one arm beneath your head, and let the other rest across your chest. There's no clock ticking, no metal buzz, no glowing screams, no noise to distract your thoughts, just the rhythm of old wood and wind, and sleep slowly blooming. You let your eyes close. The tavern breathes around you. Downstairs the fire is likely dying now. A last candle burning low, cups drying in place. The last guest heading up the stairs. You picture the barkeep locking the front door, turning the iron latch with a heavy hand. He pauses, listens, then climbs the stairs himself. The house settles again. Above your head, the roof groans slightly in the cold. The wooden beams flex and rest. The nails, hammered in generations ago, hold steady. Somewhere a bird rustles in the rafters, quiet and unseen. And in the stillness of this simple little room, with its patchy blanket, uneven floor and crooked candle holder, you feel more safe than you have in a long time. You take one more breath, and the darkness wraps itself gently around you, like a story that never ends. The first thing you hear isn't a sound, it's a feeling. That soft kind of quiet that only comes just before dawn, when the world hasn't quite woken up, but the darkness has already started to melt away. You're not even sure what stirred you. There was no loud noise, no sharp movement, just something. You open your eyes slowly. The room is dim, not dark anymore, but touched with the palest gray light. The candle is long gone. The window now shows the shape of trees outside, blurred and soft, like a painting just starting to be sketched. You lie still under the wool blanket, feeling the straw mattress beneath you. One piece of straw sticks slightly against your shoulder. You move gently, just enough to shift, and the floor creaks faintly beneath the bed frame. You hear it now, below, in the tavern's belly. A sound. The barkeep's boots. Slow, careful steps. He's up before anyone else. That's his rhythm, always has been. There's a dull thud. Maybe the sound of firewood being set near the hearth. Then the heavy clang of the iron pot being lifted. He's starting the stew again, or boiling water for washing. Maybe both. You rise. Slow. The wool blanket falls back, heavier than you remembered. Its warmth replaced with cool air that brushes your arms and neck. You sit on the edge of the bed for a moment, letting your body remember the ground. Your feet find your boots, one at a time. Slow laces, practiced fingers. You don't rush, there's no need. The pitcher beside your bed still holds water. You take a few sips from the clay cup. The water is cold now, but fresh. The key to the lockbox sits on the stool. You open it. Your coin purse is still there, untouched. You tuck it back into your pouch. A small smile forms on your lips. Trust is a quiet currency here. Outside your door, the hallway is silent. You open it gently, and the wooden hinges groan in a familiar tone. Not harsh, just aged, like they're stretching after sleep. At the top of the stairs you pause. The light from below is soft gold, moving like sunlight through fog. The fire has already been lit. You can smell it now. Not the strong scent from last night, but a cleaner, fresher burn. Oak maybe, or pine. You descend step by step, each one creaking underfoot. Below, the tavern has changed. It's not loud, it's not busy, but it's alive. The benches are empty, but the fire glows. A kettle hangs over the hearth, bubbling slowly. Beside it a second pot, filled with water, likely for washing hands or wiping down table. The barkeep stands behind the counter, as always, but now his beard is damp at the tips. He's already washed his face. He wipes down a clay mug with a clean cloth. His motions are slow and sure, rituals he's done hundreds of times. He glances up and gives you the same nod. Not surprised to see you. Not even entirely awake himself, just acknowledging your presence. A quiet good morning without sound. On one of the side tables, bread sits on a cloth. Not fresh baked, but still likely bought or traded from a nearby widow who wakes even earlier than the tavern. There's also a crock of butter, cool and pale, with a wooden spreader sticking out from the top. You take a seat near the fire. The warmth is kind to your hands. The tavern feels different in the morning. It's not just quieter. It feels cleaner, clearer, like the air itself is gentler. The smells are fainter too. No stew or sweat, just firewood, warm bread, a bit of smoke. You watch as the barkeep lights the last candle on the far wall, though it barely competes with the growing light coming through the warped glass windows. Outside you hear a rooster crow once, then again, then silence. One of the doors near the back opens. A woman emerges. She rubs her arms, still wrapped in a linen shawl. Her hair is loose now, falling in waves over her shoulders. She nods to the barkeep, who hands her a warm mug. They don't speak. She takes a seat at a bench in the corner, and stares into the fire. This is how mornings begin here. You're handed a cup as well. Not ale this time. Something else. Warm, spiced water maybe. Or a mild herbal brew. It's hard to tell, but it's gentle on the tongue and soft on the stomach. It helps you wake up slowly, without a jolt. The woman who'd been knitting the night before enters too. This time her bundle is gone. She carries a small basket of folded cloth. Instead, maybe she trades linens to the inn. Maybe she washes them for coin. She smiles faintly at you. A crease in the corner of her eye deepens. She has kind eyes. You nod. One by one, others return to the world. A man steps in from outside, cheeks red, breath visible in the cool morning air. He stamps the mud off his boots and sets a bundle of firewood beside the hearth. The barkeep gives him a nod and a cup in return. No money exchanged. It's understood. An older couple arrives together, wrapped in matching cloaks. They sit without speaking. They've done this before. They each take a piece of bread, share the butter, sip something warm, and lean their heads close. Not romantic, just comfortable. Outside, the sky brightens by shades. You walk toward the door. It's unlocked now. You open it slightly and peek out. The road beyond the tavern is still quiet. The grass is damp with dew. Mist hangs low near the tree. A cart is visible in the distance, pulled by a slow-moving mule, its driver nodding along sleepily. You close the door gently. The tavern, as always, welcomes you back. Back at your seat, you notice something you hadn't before. A small wooden shelf near the corner, lined with odd items. A carved toy horse, a folded piece of paper, a smooth stone painted with the symbol of a star. Offerings, forgotten items, or just little pieces of other lives left behind. You ask the barkeep with your eyes. He shrugs. Left by travelers, he says quietly. We don't throw 'em out. He continues wiping the counter. You look again. Someone left a comb. Someone else. A small woolen doll. One item looks like a piece of bone carved with a name. You wonder what you might leave behind. Another guest rises and nods to you as they pass. They leave a copper coin on the bench where they were sitting. The barkeep doesn't touch it yet. That's part of the ritual. Let it sit for a moment. Let it cool. You sip the last of your drink. Your eyes feel heavy again. Not from lack of sleep, but from the quiet comfort of it all. It's not just a tavern. It's a rhythm, a breathing space, a place where people pass through and leave bits of their lives behind. Some stay for hours, some for years. The fire burns lower. The woman with the basket finishes her drink and rises. She says nothing, just wraps her shawl tighter and walks back toward the door. She doesn't look back. The barkeep finally picks up the coin. You think you'll walk outside now, just for a bit, maybe down the road, maybe to the well, or maybe you'll return later tonight, for stew and shadowed songs and the flicker of firelight. But for now, the day has begun, slowly, gently, just like everything else in this place. And the tavern, ever so quietly waits. The tavern door opens again, not with a bang, but a quiet scrape, that familiar wooden sound that belongs only to doors worn down by wind, weather and time. You step outside, gently, as if you're trying not to disturb the mist. Morning light hangs in the air like a thin veil. It isn't bright, just soft. Everything around the tavern looks washed in gray and silver. The trees beyond sway slowly in the cool air, their branches dripping from last night's fog. Your boots press into the damp earth, leaving clear prints as you walk. There's no rush. The road is still nearly empty. Only a few distant shapes move. In the far haze, a figure with a yoke and buckets. A cartwheel turning. A dog trotting behind someone's boots. The tavern sits on the edge of a small village. You hadn't seen much of it last night. Darkness covered it, and the warmth of the fire kept you inside. But now you see how close the rest of life really is. To the left of the tavern, a stone path leads to a blacksmith's hut. You hear the distant clang of hammer on iron. Slow and methodical, not frantic. Smoke rises from the chimney, thin and blue. To the right, a row of wooden houses, close together, their rooftops thatched with straw. Some have shutters tied open with twine. You see laundry hanging between two posts. Linens, tunics, aprons swaying gently in the cool breeze. A hen walks across the dirt with no urgency. Behind the tavern is a small garden. You hadn't noticed it from inside. A low wooden fence surrounds it. Inside, rows of herbs grow in tidy lines. Parsley, sage, leeks, and something tall and purple flowered. Maybe lavender. Maybe something local. A woman kneels among the plants, hands deep in the soil. She moves like someone who's done this every morning for years. She hums a tune, not the same one from inside the tavern, but similar. She doesn't look up, just keeps digging, trimming, tying little bundle. A few steps beyond the garden is the well. It's not grand, just a stone circle, with a wooden roof and a winch. A rope hangs from it, frayed and stained, tied to a weathered bucket. You walk closer, resting your hand on the edge. The stone is cool. Moss grows on one side. When you peer down, you see only darkness, and the faint reflection of light, dancing far below. Someone approaches behind you. It's the barkeep. He doesn't say anything right away. He just looks at the well too, as if he's also checking to see if it still holds water. Then, softly, he speaks. Been here longer than the tavern. You look at him, and he nods toward the stones. Well was here first, he says. That's why the tavern's here. Folks needed water, and travelers needed a place to rest. So they built the tavern. The village came late. You both stand there a while, just listening to the sound of the wind through the grass, and the soft creak of the bucket swinging gently. He turns and walks back toward the tavern, and you follow at a distance. As you step through the back door this time, you pass a different room, smaller than the main hall. It's not for guests, it's for storing things. Sacks of barley, barrels of dried fish, crates of rough clay mud. On a wooden shelf, you see jars filled with dark syrup, bundles of dried mint, and cloth wrapped around wheels of hard cheese. There's a cat on one of the sacks, gray, sleepy-eyed, curled in a perfect circle. It looks at you without interest, then closes its eyes again. You make your way back through the main room. The fire is lower now, burning only enough to keep the chill away. The few remaining guests have gone out for the day. One table is being wiped clean. The cloth leaves streaks of water and a soft herbal scent, maybe thyme soaked in warm water. The woman wiping it wears a simple apron and has her sleeves rolled up to her elbows. She doesn't speak to you, just gives a small nod. Everything in this place moves with care. No one rushes. No one shouts. Even work feels like part of the rhythm. You take your seat again. The same bench from last night. The one with the carving in the wood. The little bird or fox. You run your fingers over the shape again. It's still there. Still yours for now. The barkeep returns and sets down a small plate. A heel of bread. Some goat cheese. A boiled egg with the shell cracked just slightly. Nothing fancy, but warm, real. You eat slowly. You look around and notice details you hadn't before. The nails in the beams, some hammered and crooked. The crack in the wall that lets in a tiny blade of light. The marks on the stone hearth where a heavy pot was dragged too many times. The candle wax that's hardened into little puddles across the floorboards. All of it tells you, this place has been here a long time, and no one has tried to make it perfect. They've just let it live. You imagine all the people who must have passed through. Pilgrims walking from village to village. Messengers on horseback. Soldiers between campaigns. Poets with nothing to say, but too much to drink. Mothers carrying infants. Thieves hiding from sheriffs. Monks. Merchants. Widows. Musicians. Some stayed a night. Some stayed longer. Some left things behind. A wooden spoon. A song. A story whispered over stew. You finish your breakfast. The last bite of cheese melts on your tongue. You wash it down with a sip of spiced water, now slightly cooled but still fragrant. You rise again and stretch. The sun is higher now. The tavern begins to brighten from the inside. Dust dances in the beams of light. You watch the particles float, turn, vanish. You wonder if this is the kind of place you could stay. Not just for a night, but for a season. Maybe help in the garden, chop wood for the fire, stir the stew once in a while, wash the mugs, rest when the rain falls. It's a thought that doesn't feel foolish, just gentle. The barkeep walks past you again, setting down a bowl of oats for an older man who's just arrived. Someone with a walking stick, wrapped in a thick wool cloak. He leans the stick against the bench and sighs as he sits. That deep kind of sigh that's half pain, half relief. You nod to him. He nods back. No names needed. You sit for a little while longer, watching the fire. The logs crackle gently, and the warmth slowly returns to your knees. You don't know what time it is, but it doesn't matter. The tavern holds you still, like the space between heartbeats. And even as the village stirs beyond its doors, you feel no need to move just yet. Everything you need is here. The sun has climbed higher now. though not straight overhead. A pale golden light stretches in through the tavern's small leaded windows, painting soft patterns on the tables and benches. You feel it warming your hands, where they rest on the old wooden surface, its grains smoothed by hundreds of hands, before yours. The morning's hush is slowly lifting. It doesn't vanish all at once. It just softens. You hear the creak of the tavern's front door, opening slowly on its old hinges. Another visitor steps inside. She's wrapped in a pale green cloak, frayed at the bottom, and carries a basket under one arm. Inside the basket you see apples, a few turnips, and something wrapped in cheesecloth, maybe a small wheel of butter, or hard cheese. She nods to the barkeep, and sets the basket down gently on the end of the counter. A quiet exchange, a trade, not coin, just goods for goods. She lifts the lid of a clay jar sitting behind the bar, peers inside and nods in approval. Barley maybe, or pickled onions. The tavern is never only about drinking. It's a crossroads, a quiet one, a place where lives pass and brush gently, like wind across grass. The woman takes a seat near the window, the one furthest from the fire. She unties her cloak, stretches her hands across the table, and exhales softly, as if she's just finished a long walk. A few moments later, a man with soot on his hands and arms enters, likely from the blacksmith shop you saw earlier. He wipes his brow with the back of his sleeve, then leans briefly against the doorframe. His shoulders sag, not from sadness, just from the weight of the morning's work. He orders nothing right away, just rests there, and the tavern lets him. You glance toward the hearth again. The stew pot is back in place. The barkeep's daughter, a quiet girl with a braid halfway down her back, gently stirs the broth with a long wooden spoon. She hums to herself, the same slow tune from the night before, or maybe a new one, but it feels familiar. There's a rhythm to all of it. A man sits near you now, not too close, just one bench over. He's older, with a cap pulled low and a satchel at his side. He smells faintly of leather and pine, like someone who sleeps outdoors more often than in beds. He unwraps a small piece of cloth, and reveals a flat piece of dried meat. He chews it slowly, savoring each bite. He doesn't look at you. You don't mind. You're both just passing time. You sip from a cup of warmed cider. It's thinner than last night, spiced more gently. You take your time. The cup fits comfortably in your hands. It feels like it was made for someone who doesn't hurt. Outside the door, the sounds of the village grow. A few wagon wheels rolling over packed earth, a dog barking, and then quieting again. The soft murmur of voices near the market. But inside, the world remains still. The woman with the basket now unwraps a small bundle from within her cloak. It's a carved spoon, smooth, with a leaf-shaped handle. She slides it across the table to the barkeep. He picks it up, studies it, then nods once and disappears behind the back wall. You hear the opening of a drawer, then the quiet jingle of coins, just a few, before he returns and places them beside her on the table. She smiles, but says nothing. You begin to realize how many small exchanges happen here, beneath notice. A jug for a song, a spoon for a bowl of stew, a story for a place to sit. A young boy enters, no more than 12, barefoot, with a basket full of eggs. He says something quick and shy to the barkeep, who simply points to the counter. The boy sets the eggs down gently, then reaches for a crust of bread already waiting for him. He bites into it hungrily, grinning. Then he's gone again, out the door before you can blink. You take another bite of your own bread. This one is slightly different. Seeded, with something like anise, or caraway. The tavern likely gets it from different houses on different days. Nothing is ever the same twice, but nothing feels unfamiliar either. The fire pops once in the hearth, and a stray spark dances before fading into ash. A tall man enters now, wearing a cloak patterned in an unfamiliar way, a regional weave, perhaps from 2 valleys over. He carries a bundle wrapped in oilcloth. He places it down gently beside his seat, then leans forward on his elbows, rubbing his hands as if he's shaking off a long walk. He looks around slowly, eyes scanning each face, but not with suspicion, just a traveler's curiosity. His gaze lingers on the wall behind the bar, where dozens of small trinkets hang. Dried flowers, Tiny wooden carvings. A small cracked plate. A woven bracelet. Nothing of value but each clearly placed with purpose. He speaks. Finally. A soft accented voice. Still hanging the stories I see. The barkeep nods. Always. The man smiles. You look at the wall again. And realize. These aren't decorations. They're pieces of people, left behind like footprints. Or whispers in wood. A traveler gives something. The tavern keeps it. A way of saying you mattered here. Even if just for a day. The light from the windows begins to shift. Golden turning slowly toward amber. You realize hours have passed. But you haven't noticed. The tavern folds time in on itself. You could spend a whole day inside and never grow restless. Another bowl of stew is brought to your table. Not by request. Just a quiet offering from the barkeep's daughter. With that same braid and that same soft humming. You nod. She nods back. The stew is thicker this time. More carrots, a richer broth. You eat slowly, savoring each bite. A piece of barley clings to your spoon. A sliver of parsnip curls at the edge of the bowl. You pause once, just to feel the warmth on your fingertips. Someone begins to play a stringed instrument. Not a lute, exactly, but something simpler. A few notes, low and slow, like a lullaby meant for the middle of the day. And just like that, the tavern breathes again. Not loudly, just steadily, one heartbeat at a time. The light has changed again. You notice it first on the floor, where the shafts of sun falling through the small window panes have shifted across the wood. They no longer stretch straight and long. Instead, they rest low and golden, painting soft ovals that warm the toes of your boots. You exhale slowly. The stew bowl in front of you is empty now, save for a few streaks of broth clinging to the sides. The spoon rests quietly in the bowl, its handle tilted slightly. You let it stay there. The tavern is quieter again. Not silent, just slow. Midday has passed, and most of the workers, traders and walkers, have returned to their tasks. The blacksmith's hammer no longer echoes in the distance. The boy with the egg basket hasn't returned. The barkeep wipes the same spot on the counter over and over. Not because it's dirty, but because he has nothing else to do just yet. The woman with the green cloak still sits by the window. She has her head resting gently against the wooden frame, eyes half closed. She doesn't sleep, she just watches. Out the window, a cart rolls slowly past, pulled by a tired ox. Its wheels creak. Dust floats behind it. You don't know what time it is. You don't need to. This hour has no number. Just a feeling. A creak comes from upstairs. Not heavy, not hurried, just the boards shifting, as someone walks across the upper floor. Maybe someone who arrived late and stayed through the day. Maybe someone rising from an afternoon nap, brushing straw from their sleeves. The barkeep disappears into the back for a moment. You hear the soft clang of iron and the splash of water being poured into a basin. A few moments later, he re-emerges with a bundle of herbs tied tightly with twine. He hangs them from a low beam above the hearth, where the heat will dry them slowly. They sway gently with the air. You stand and stretch again. Your joints crack quietly. No one turns to look. Stretching, shifting, adjusting. These are common things. This is not a place where people hide their tiredness. You walk slowly to the back wall, the one lined with old markings and tiny objects. You hadn't looked at them closely before. Now in the late afternoon light, they seem to glow slightly. A carved button, made of bone. A child's wooden toy horse, its wheel broken. A lock of hair tied with red thread. A scrap of linen with a single letter stitched into it. They are not there to be admired. They are not labeled or explained. But each one holds a silence. A kind of stillness that says I mattered to someone. I passed through this place. You run your fingers gently over the wooden wall. Its grain is deep. It's not smooth. It feels older than anything else you've ever touched. A low voice speaks beside you. Some people leave things, the barkeep says, because they want to forget. Others leave them so they'll be remembered. You look at him. He doesn't say more, just turns and continues toward the hearth. You return to your seat. The woman by the window has now begun to unravel something from her basket. Soft wool, dyed a pale brown. She begins to knit, slowly, Each movement of her hands is steady, like breathe. A new guest arrives. A middle-aged man, with a long wooden staff. Not a pilgrim, not a soldier, just someone walking for a reason, only he knows. He rests the staff against the wall, and lowers himself onto a bench. The barkeep gives him a cup without being asked. You hear a soft whistle from outside. Then, a moment later, a dog pads in through the open door. Its fur is dark, with tufts of white on its face. It walks calmly across the tavern floor, tail low, eyes observant. It doesn't bark, just sniffs once or twice, then settles near the fire, curling in a patch of sun. No one calls to it. No one shoos it away. It belongs here, just like everyone else. A few voices begin to rise again. Gentle conversation in the corner. Two older men speaking in slow, gravelly tones. You can't make out the words, and you don't try. Their speech is soft, round and full of pauses. Every sentence seems to carry a memory. They laugh quietly at one point. A kind of wheeze, more breath than sound. The barkeep's daughter walks from table to table with a fresh cloth and a bowl of dried rose petals. She tosses a few onto each surface, brushing them across the wood with her hand. The scent is faint but sweet, just enough to remind the room that it's still cared for. You lean back against the wall, and the grain of the wood presses gently into your spine. The tavern sighs with you. You feel the weight of the sun on your skin now. Not heavy, just enough to make you aware of the passing time. A golden warmth that will soon begin to fade again. And for a moment, you close your eyes. You don't sleep, you just listen. The fire crackles. The dog shifts in its sleep. A spoon clinks in a cup. Wool passes through fingers. A chair leg scrapes. A soft footstep upstairs. A door creaks open, then closed again. The world continues, but slowly. No part of the tavern rushes you. No one expects a story from you, or a song, or even a smile. You are allowed to be still, and in that stillness, you remember something forgotten. Not a thought, exactly, but a feeling. A deep, simple knowing that being alive doesn't always need to be loud. That sometimes the most meaningful moments happen when nothing is happening at all. The woman finishes her row of stitches and folds the wool gently into her basket. The light from the window shrinks lower on the wall, and the tavern, without speaking, prepares itself for evening once again. The golden slant of light has changed again. What was once bright and glowing is now softer, deeper, turning more amber, more bronze. It doesn't rush toward darkness. It eases there, one slow degree at a time. You notice the shadows stretching longer across the tavern floor, climbing the benches like vines. A soft wind moves outside. You hear it press gently against the tavern walls, whistling faintly through the cracks in the shutter. Dust motes dance through the last bits of sun, glowing for a moment, before settling. The dog still lies near the hearth. It hasn't moved much, just a small twitch in its back leg now and then, maybe dreaming of fields or run. The barkeep has lit a few candles, placing them one by one on the tables. He doesn't rush. He pauses between each one, letting the room fall gently into shadow and glow. You watch him light the wick. The tiny flame flickers, catches, then steadies. The air smells faintly of wax and old wood. Outside the door, footsteps, slow, steady. A traveler arrives. You hear the creak of the door again, then the soft scuff of boots. A figure steps inside, tall, with a cloak soaked near the hem. It's been raining somewhere, though not here. The figure's face is mostly hidden beneath a wide hood. They close the door gently and stand near it for a long moment, just breathing. The barkeep doesn't ask questions. He gestures toward the fire. The traveler steps forward, boots leaving faint wet marks on the floor. As they pass, you see more clearly. A woman perhaps in her 30s, face weathered, but calm. Her eyes move over the room once, then settle on an empty bench. She sits, the fire warms her legs. A few moments later, a second figure appears, younger, carrying a small pack. He wears a blue tunic, with a tear at the sleeve. His fingers twitch slightly as he enters, nervous but not unwelcome. The barkeep offers him a place too. Evening is the time when the tavern begins to gather people again, but not like morning. This time there's something different in the air, a softness, a settling. Those who come now don't speak loudly. They move with the quiet of those who have seen the sky grow dim and know how precious light can be. The stew pot returns to the hearth. A richer smell fills the air this time, something with mushrooms and leeks. The barkeep's daughter hums again, that same worn melody. You never quite learn the words, and maybe there are none, but it stays with you. Another candle is lit. A chair scrapes softly. The woman in the green cloak, still seated by the window, finally stands. She collects her basket and pulls her hood over her head. Before she leaves, she places a single copper coin on the windowsill, not as payment, but as something else, an offering, a thank you, a goodbye. She walks out without a word. You sip again from your cup, something warm and a little sweeter this time. It might be mulled wine, or cider again, you can't tell, but it rests gently on your tongue and spreads warmth behind your eyes. The tall traveler leans forward now. She removes her cloak, folds it once, and sets it beside her. You see now that she wears a thin chain around her neck. No pendant, just the chain. Her hands are strong, with old calluses and a scar across one knuckle. She pulls out a piece of cloth and begins slowly wiping down her boots. Not for vanity, but for care. She catches your eye, just for a moment. She nods. You nod back. No one speaks. You begin to notice small things you didn't see this morning. The way the wood of the tavern glows under candlelight. The way the corners darken first, like dusk hiding in the beams. The way spoons click against bowls at just the right volume to be comforting. Another guest arrives. An old man with a thick wool cloak and a hunched back. The barkeep helps him to his seat, then brings him a bowl without asking. They've done this before, many times. Someone hums, not the daughter this time. A different voice. Lower, older. It joins the first melody, then fades away like breath on glass. You look around and realize there are no strangers here anymore. Even the new faces feel familiar now. The quiet traveler with the chain, the nervous boy with the blue tunic, the old man by the fire. You're all breathing the same air, sharing the same firelight, and dipping spoons into the same stew. The barkeep kneels beside the hearth. He feeds another log into the fire, then shifts the pot gently, stirring it once with a long-handled ladle. He tastes the broth on the back of a spoon, nods to himself and sets it back. The fire crackles, and for a moment it sounds like applause. A new smell fills the room. Roasted garlic, toasted grain, maybe even apple. The stew has changed slightly, grown deeper. It always does. You rest your head lightly against the wall behind you, eyes half-lidded. The candles flicker. You hear the dog sigh in its sleep. Another spoon clinks. Another cup is filled. No one speaks above a whisper now. Even laughter, when it comes, is soft. The kind that leaks out like warmth from under a heavy blanket. A woman walks through with a broom, sweeping gently. The bristles barely whisper across the wood. She hums too. A different tune. Slower, more circular. You feel it in your chest. The traveler with the chain finally speaks. Just a few words. Something about the road being muddy. Her voice is low, careful, shaped by weather and silence. The barkeep nods. No questions. No story. Just the knowing between them. The night deepens. You don't know what time it is now. There's no clock. Just the rhythm of candles burning shorter and flames curling lower in the hearth. The boy with the torn sleeve takes a seat near you. He doesn't ask to join. He just sits, quietly. His hands tremble as he picks up his spoon. He eats like someone who's eaten alone for too long. You let the silence wrap around you. It feels like sleep, but deeper. Not the kind that steals you away. The kind that rests with you. Like a warm stone placed on your chest. The fire pops once more. And the night continues, just as it always has. No great events. No loud songs. No declarations of love or secrets revealed. Just spoons and breath. And the soft music of a room full of people who know how to be silent together. And in that stillness, something rare is shared. Something older than any one person in the room. A place where the world, for a little while, does not ask anything of you. The candles have burned lower now. Their stubs are shorter. Their flames smaller. No longer eager. just steady. The light they cast no longer reaches every corner of the room. It flickers softly across faces, hands, empty bowls, and the slow amber dance of dust in the air. You're still seated on the same bench, the same table. The spoon lies where you left it. The clay cup beside it is half full. The drink inside has cooled, but you don't mind. You lift it to your lips anyway, letting the rim rest gently for a moment, before sipping. It's quiet now, not the quiet of morning. This is different. It's the quiet of shared weariness, the kind that settles between people who no longer need to speak. Every glance, every movement, every breath says, "We made it through the day." The fire has dimmed, but not died. Its warmth still wraps around your legs and feet, seeping into your boots like a memory of sunlight. The dog, now curled tighter than before, lets out a slow, contented breath. Its ear twitches. Across the room, the old man with the hunched back has fallen asleep at the table, his arms folded, his head resting gently on them. No one wakes him. The barkeep simply places a folded cloth near his elbow, so he won't feel the chill. The young boy who sat near you has finished his bowl. He holds the spoon like he isn't quite ready to let it go. Eventually he sets it down, stands, and quietly leaves through the side door. His boots make no sound. He vanishes into the night like mist. The woman with the chain around her neck leans back now, folding her arms. Her cloak is dry again. She has said very little since arriving, but she has been watching everything, not with suspicion, but with a stillness you've only ever seen in trees. She meets your eyes again. This time she smiles, just slightly. Then she closes her eyes, resting her head against the post behind her. Not to sleep, just to rest. The barkeep finishes wiping down the counter for the last time. He doesn't put the cloth away. He simply folds it and places it beside the last candle, the one nearest to him. That candle, you notice, is burning faster than the others. Its wick is almost gone. The flames cast shadows now, deep and long, across the beams in the ceiling. They stretch and shiver as the fire shifts. One log falls slightly inward, sending up a soft burst of sparks that float, then vanish. A woman near the back wall sings something low and wordless. Not a performance, just a sound. Her voice moves like the tide, slow, even, gentle. It fills the room like warm breath. No one claps, no one comments. It just becomes part of the tavern. You watch the way the shadows move across the floorboard. They make patterns that look like branches, or rivers, or maps of places that might not exist anymore. There are fewer people now. Only the ones who linger. Only the ones who never seem to leave. The barkeep's daughter sits near the fire, her head resting on her knees, arms wrapped around her legs. Her eyes are open but heavy. Her braid lies loose down her back now, strands falling gently onto the floor. She hums along with the singing woman, barely audible. You realize no new guests have entered in over an hour. The tavern's doors are closed, not locked, just closed, as if the building itself has decided enough is enough. Anyone not already inside can wait for more. You hear a faint scuffling sound from upstairs, the sound of someone turning in bed, maybe adjusting a blanket. A cough, then silence again. The traveler with the chain finally stands. She stretches slowly, arms reaching high. Her shoulders crack softly in the She looks at the barkeep, who simply nods. She walks to the stairs, and climbs them one by one, her boots creaking gently on the wood. The last you see of her is the way her hand lingers on the railing before she vanishes around the corner. The woman near the wall finishes her song. She does not speak afterward. She just sits quietly, eyes closed, lips pressed together like someone sealing a letter they'll never send. The fire lowers again. The dog shifts slightly, resting its chin on its paws. The barkeep sighs, not from exhaustion but from something older, the kind of sigh that comes from years of watching people arrive, eat, speak, sleep, and disappear. He pours himself a small cup, no larger than an egg. He drinks it in one sip, then sets the cup aside. You feel your own eyes growing heavy now. You aren't quite ready to sleep, but you also aren't awake. You exist in a space in between, the kind of quiet that can't be found outside this room. A place where nothing is asked of you, and nothing is expected. A place where silence feels like being held. You close your eyes, and the tavern holds you It's hard to say whether you ever truly fell asleep. Maybe your eyes closed only halfway. Maybe your thoughts drifted gently without landing anywhere. Or maybe this moment, right now, is a kind of dreaming, with your body still sitting upright near the fire, the clay cup resting loosely in your hand, the stew long gone, the spoon untouched. The tavern is still, not silent. Still, the kind of stillness that presses against your ears, like soft cloth. The fire is down to embers, glowing orange and red, with only the occasional pop or crack. It doesn't offer much light now, just enough to outline the shapes of things. The tables, now mostly empty, look like islands in a sea of shadow. The wooden floor creaks only when the wind touches the building. It moans softly in the rafters, then fades again. The barkeep has vanished for the night. His daughter is asleep now, her form curled in the corner where she always rests, near the big barrel, wrapped in an old wool cloak that smells faintly of lavender and wood smoke. Even the dog no longer stirs. Its breathing is steady. Its tail is still. It dreams, if dogs dream of warmth, or fields, or the gentle sound of footsteps, it knows well. You lean your head back against the beam behind you. The wood feels cool at first, then warm as you settle in. Somewhere upstairs, someone turns in bed, then stillness again. From outside, a sound not loud, just distinct, an owl, calling once, then a long quiet pause, then nothing. The night air has crept in through the cracks between shutters. You feel it on your hands, not cold, but cool enough to notice. The kind of air that makes the world feel clean. A single candle still burns. It's short now, nearly done, sitting on the edge of the barkeep's counter. Its flame wobbles once, then steadies. The wax has pooled beneath it, hardened into small ridges that glint like glass. You sit very still. The sound of your own breath is now the loudest thing in the room. In, out, soft, slow. The ceiling above you is dark, but you know its shape. You've memorized the curve of the rafters, the faint gap between two of the planks, the way the candlelight never quite reaches the far corner. You know every shadow now. They feel like old friends. You glance again at the wall with the small trinkets, the ones left by travelers, the carved spoon, the piece of red thread, the scrap of embroidered linen, the smooth stone with someone's name scratched into it. Elric. You wonder if they came back, if they ever saw what they left behind, or if the tavern simply remembers for them. You feel your eyes closing again, not from exhaustion, just from the comfort of this place, this hour, this moment, that doesn't need to become anything else. You wonder what the tavern dreams about. Does it remember every story ever told beneath its roof? Does it feel the weight of footsteps in the grain of its floors? Does it sigh when people leave? Or does it rest more easily when they stay? The last candle flutters. Its flame grows smaller, pulling inward, curling tighter, as if it too is ready to sleep. You watch it, your eyes half-lidded. A single drip of wax runs down its side, and then, finally, it goes out. The room doesn't go black. The fire still glows in its belly. The embers shift gently, pulsing like the heartbeat of the tavern itself. They light the ceiling faintly. They glow in the dog's fur. They shimmer across the brass rim of an empty cup. You hear your breath again, and you realize no one has spoken in nearly an hour. Not a single voice, not even a whisper, and yet everything has been said. The wind touches the shutters once more. The rafters sigh, the ashes settle, and the night, deep, quiet, whole, holds you without asking why you're here or when you'll leave. You're not a guest anymore. You're part of the tavern now. There's a moment, just a breath, where time feels like it forgets to move. That's where you are now. Not asleep, but not quite awake. Somewhere between the soft press of the bench behind you and the faint shimmer of orange at the edge of your vision. The tavern is so still that even your breathing feels loud. You open your eyes slowly. At first, you see only shadow, not the thick blackness of midnight, but the pale, weightless kind that comes just before morning. The fire in the hearth is nearly gone. Only a few pieces of coal pulse dimly in the ashes. They remind you of stars buried in warm earth. The dog has not moved. Its breathing is softer now, legs stretched in a new position. One ear twitches once, The barkeep's daughter is still curled in her corner, hair scattered like ribbon across her cheek. Her face is peaceful. The folds of her wool cloak rise and fall with every slow breath. You think she might still be dreaming. A floorboard creaks upstairs. A faint one. A footstep. Then another. Someone's awake. The tavern has not welcomed the day yet, but it knows it's coming. You feel it in the floor, the air, the walls. It's like watching the tide begin to shift, knowing the wave is coming, but not rushing toward. You stand, slowly, carefully, as if not to disturb anything still sleeping. The bench creaks faintly beneath you. You walk softly toward the hearth. The warmth is faint, but real. You kneel beside it. A few thin pieces of wood lie near the kindling basket. Someone prepared them the night before, ready for morning. You place one gently against the embers. It catches almost immediately. A small flame, yellow, thin, hesitant. It curls upward, dances, reaches. You add another sliver of wood, then another. The fire grows. It doesn't roar. It simply returns, like someone waking from a dream. The light touches the stones of the hearth, the edge of a copper pot, the dog's soft fur. It glows faintly against the bottom of the barkeep's counter. You hear the fire crackle once, a sharp little snap, and then it settles back into its rhythm. Behind you, the door to the upstairs creaks again. The barkeep appears, his steps slow, steady. His beard is slightly rumpled. His sleeves are rolled halfway up. He doesn't look at you, not out of rudeness, just out of routine. He's done this 1,000 times, maybe more. He walks toward the back. A few moments later, you hear water being poured, the clink of a ladle, a wooden bowl being set on a table. Then, a sound you've come to know, the soft slide of the stew pot being placed over the fire again. You sit back down at your bench. The tavern is still quiet, but it feels like the room is taking its first breath. A long inhale, not in the lungs, in the wood, the beams, the stone. The barkeep walks past you again and sets a bowl of water and a folded cloth on the table, closest to the door. You know what it's for, to wash a face or wipe hands. You wonder who he expects will use it first. Then, another sound, the click of the door's latch being tested. It's not opened, not yet, just checked. A small, slow check to see if the day is ready. The daughter stirs in the corner. She lifts her head, blinks once, then again. She rubs her eyes with the back of her hand, and slowly stretches her arms. No words, no yawn, just the movement of someone used to waking up near the coals. The barkeep hands her a cup of something warm. Steam curls from the rim. She takes it with both hands, nods, and drinks it slowly. You catch the scent, honey maybe, and herbs. Chamomile, something soft. She hums. The same tune, the same slow, wordless tune she's been humming since the first night you arrived. You feel it now like a thread running through everything. Fire, shadow, candlelight, bowls, benches. That tune is the tavern's true voice. Outside you hear a bird. One note, then silence, then another. A second bird answers, and then the stillness folds slightly. The barkeep opens the shutter nearest the hearth. It creaks, stiff with moisture. Pale light drifts in. Not full daylight, but the silver blush of early morning. The tavern brightens just slightly, as if the room had been holding its breath all night. You stand again and walk to the window. Outside the road is quiet, damp. The grass glistens with dew. A few muddy prints from yesterday are still visible, leading away from the door and down the winding track. In the distance, the trees are wrapped in fog. The village is not awake yet, but it will be. You return to your seat. The stew has begun to bubble gently. The smell is familiar. Barley, root vegetables, a hint of dried herbs. The same as yesterday. And yet somehow it smells new. The dog lifts its head. Just barely. Its nose twitches. Then it lets out a long breath. And settles again. The barkeep sets a slice of bread on a plate near you. He doesn't ask. You don't thank him. These are not favors. This is how the tavern speaks. You eat slowly. The bread is still slightly warm. Not fresh baked, but warmed near the hearth. Its crust is hard, but the inside is soft. It tastes faintly of salt and ash, and something ancient. The daughter begins wiping down the tables. Not many to do. Just 3 or 4. But she does it carefully. Her cloth damp with rose water and mint. The scent lingers in the air as she moves from one bench to the next, humming gently. The fire is alive now. The shadows have changed shape again. And somewhere upstairs, you hear another set of footsteps. Slow, steady. Another traveler waking. Another life returning to the room. You wonder how long you've stayed. A day, 2, a week. The tavern never asks you to leave. And you never quite choose to stay. You simply remain, folded gently into the rhythm of it. The fire, the soup, the silence, the music without words. Every hour shaped by wooden beams and wool blankets. And cups, held between both hands. The shutters open wider. The birds outside begin to sing in 2s and 3s. And the tavern, without rushing, begins again. By now, the sun is awake but not fully risen. It lingers low on the horizon, stretching long beams of pale gold across the tavern floor. The shadows it casts are still soft-edged, sleepy. They wrap around benches and table legs like cats curling at rest. Through the window, you see a sky painted in quiet blues and faint morning silver. Inside the tavern, the hush is lifting gently. The barkeep's daughter has finished wiping the tables. She now stands near the hearth, feeding the fire a bundle of twigs tied with string. They catch quickly. The flames rise, just a little, casting new light on the stone behind them. Rough, blackened, old. The stew has changed again. This morning it smells lighter. Oats perhaps, with bits of dried apple and honey stirred in. Not the heavy broth of night, but something made for those about to walk or work or wait. You sit in the same place. The bench is more familiar now, shaped to your spine, your elbows, the way you rest your hands. Your cup rests on the table, steam curling upward. You haven't tasted it yet. You're in no hurry. A few other guests remain. The old man who slept at the table has awoken and now stretches his shoulders in slow circles. His cloak is dusted with crumb. He blinks into the sunlight coming through the window, then sips from the bowl the barkeep has already placed in front of him. A woman with a wool shawl, someone you hadn't seen before, enters from the back. She wears boots with mud dried high up the side. She nods to no one in particular, and takes a place near the wall. She pulls out a small cloth and begins to sew, her needle rising and falling like a breath. Outside, the village begins to speak. A rooster crows again. A cart rolls slowly across the road. You hear voices. 2 women laughing softly. A baby crying once. A dog barking at something unseen. The world outside is awake. But inside, the tavern holds its pace. No faster. No louder. No different than it was an hour ago. Or a day ago. Or perhaps even a century ago. The barkeep enters from the side door carrying a bundle of wood. He moves with the patience of someone who does this every day. He sets the bundle down near the hearth and begins stacking the pieces with care, one by one, arranged just so. The daughter places a bowl in front of you. No word, just a gentle nudge toward your hands. You look down. The oats are warm and just thick enough to hold their shape. Thin slices of dried plum float on the surface. A dusting of crushed walnuts rests at the edge. It smells like morning. You take a bite. It's sweet, but not sugar, just gentle. The way food tastes when made by hands that expect no thanks. Across the room, the traveler with the blue tunic returns. The one who was trembling the night before. He's cleaner now. His face is washed, his eyes steady. He carries a small bundle, and his footsteps are more sure. He nods to the barkeep, who lifts 2 fingers in reply. The boy sits near the door and eats quietly. At the window, the sewing woman has finished a seam. She folds the cloth carefully, presses it flat with her palms, and slides it into her satchel. She stands, takes a cup from the counter, and leans against the windowsill, sipping as she watches the world pass. Outside, a girl with a basket walks by. A man trails behind her with a bundle of firewood over one shoulder. Their shadows stretch along the side of the tavern. Long, narrow, peaceful. You take another bite of the oats, another sip of your drink. The barkeep wipes down the counter again. The cloth is damp with something herbal. You catch the scent of mint and thyme. It drifts upward in slow curls, mixing with the steam of your breakfast and the smoke of the fire. The candle stubs from last night are gone now, replaced with fresh ones, their wicks long and unused. The tables look cleaner. The floor has been swept. The same space, but with a new day stretched over it. You hear a voice now, quiet, warm, old. It comes from a corner of the room. One of the older guests, a man with hands like rope and eyes like fog, begins to tell a story. His voice doesn't rise above the sound of the fire. You can't hear the words from where you sit, but you can hear the rhythm, the soft rise and fall of a tale told slowly, with care. The sewing woman leans in. So does the traveler. No one interrupts. You don't need to hear the words to feel the shape of them. A journey, a question, a return. The story is older than the teller, older than the tavern, maybe older than the village itself. You let your spoon rest in the bowl. You close your eyes, just for a moment. The story continues, and the tavern becomes a circle of firelight, of breath, of food, of people not asking anything of one another, except to share space. The barkeep places another log on the fire. The flames rise. The dog lifts its head and watches, then settles again. Outside, the village moves. Inside, the tavern keeps its stillness. A traveler finishes his meal and folds his cloak. A girl enters with a tray of eggs. A candle is lit. Even though sunlight fills the room, someone sings, just a single note. And you're still here, still held, still resting, still part of the slow, quiet turning of this place. By now the light has changed again. It no longer glows in gentle silver or pale gold. It's fuller now, golden and round, flooding through the shutters in wide slants, lighting the floor in long, warm beams. The kind of light that fills bowls and climbs the beams and glints on the iron pot. Late morning, the kind of time that doesn't call attention to itself. It doesn't ring bells or mark hours. It just arrives, quietly, like steam rising from a cup, or bread cooling in a kitchen window. The tavern is full, but not loud. A low murmur moves through the room. Voices, footsteps, spoons against bowls, the shift of bodies on benches. The sound doesn't rise or fall. It stays soft, steady, like the hum of a river beneath ice. You're still in your seat. The same the same table, the warmth of the hearth still close. The barkeep moves through the room, nodding here, refilling a cup there. He doesn't hurry. His steps never change. A new guest enters. He's tall, with dark sleeves rolled to the elbow, a satchel on one shoulder, and a thin blade sheathed at his side. Not a sword, something lighter, a knife for wood carving, or skinning game. His boots are dusty, his eyes are calm. He says little, just nods, and finds a seat near the wall. He looks like someone who knows what silence is for. Behind him, a woman enters with a basket of cloth, folded, patched, worn smooth. She sets it beside the counter, lifts the lid, and unwraps a linen bundle. Inside, loaves of dark bread, not perfect, but round, solid, still warm. The barkeep nods. He places 2 coins on the edge of the basket. She picks them up without counting. Trust lives easily here. Outside, the village continues its rhythm. The sound of a wheelbarrow, children's footsteps in the mud, a blackbird's cry, the cluck of hens near the window. But inside, the tavern holds its shape. A tall man with a wide-brimmed hat leans over a map spread across the table in front of him. He isn't planning a battle, just a walk. His finger traces a path across hills and small rivers, pausing now and then to sip from a wooden cup. A child, no more than 5, sits beside his mother near the fire. The child holds a carved wooden fox, its paint chipped, one ear missing. She presses it to her cheek, then sets it gently on the bench beside her, and whispers something only it can hear. The dog is awake now. It walks slowly through the tavern, sniffing at boots, tails wagging gently. It settles finally beside the hearth, where the sun hits the stones. There it rests again, eyes half closed, nose twitching. You glance up at the wall again, the one with the trinkets. More have appeared. A button carved from horn. A ribbon, tied in a small circle. A scrap of parchment with a drawing. A tree. A star. A spiral. Someone has written a single word beneath it. Stay. The barkeep hasn't touched any of it. He lets the wall grow by itself. It's not decoration. It's memory. You sip from your cup again. The contents are cooler now, but sweeter warmed spiced water, with a hint of clove. Your spoon rests beside the bowl. The oats from earlier are gone, but their comfort lingers in your belly. The woman with the cloth has taken a seat near the door. She unrolls a square of linen, revealing a pile of tangled thread. She begins to sort it, knot by knot. She doesn't look frustrated, only patient. The barkeep's daughter brings out a tray with more mugs. One filled with mead, another with boiled cider, a third with something darker. She places them one by one, before guests who nod without speaking. Each person knows their place. Each drink knows its name. You begin to wonder where the day is headed. You don't worry about it. You just notice. Another guest enters. This one carries a lute across his back. He removes it gently, brushing dust from the neck. He doesn't play it. Not yet. He rests it on the bench beside him, wraps his cloak around his shoulders, and lets out a long sigh, the kind of sigh that makes the room feel quieter. The barkeep refills a pot. Someone laughs softly. Someone opens a small book and begins to read, lips moving without sound. A loaf of bread is sliced. A bowl of stew is passed across the counter. A coin is placed gently in a shallow bowl with others. Not loud, just a small clink. You close your eyes. Not to sleep, just to listen. The tavern breathes. It doesn't need attention. It doesn't ask for your thoughts. It only wants you to notice it. The way it smells of old ash and thyme. The way the light falls across the table. The way the dog shifts when the fire grows hotter. And you do. You notice it all. A breeze passes through the open shutter. Cool, clean, fresh from the trees. It rustles the parchment on the table near the traveler. He places a stone on the corner to hold it still. Nothing is broken here. Nothing is waiting to be fixed. The day continues. Softly, warmly, in no hurry at all. The shadows outside have shortened now. They tuck beneath the tables, hide under the eaves, retreat into the cracks between stones. It's afternoon, not loud, not proud, just steady. The tavern glows with the weight of sunlight. It pours through the shutters and windows, touches the floorboards, climbs the posts, and softens the walls. The wooden beams above seem warmer now, as if the whole building has soaked up the sun's slow heat, like bread dipped in broth. You're still sitting, still on the same bench, still near the hearth, which now burns lower, almost lazily, just enough to keep the bones of the room warm. The stew pot is no longer bubbling. It's been removed and set on a trivet to rest. Beside it, a new kettle has appeared. Something lighter, perhaps a simple brew of herbs for the quiet hours ahead. The room is not empty, but it's quieter than before. Guests come and go. One leaves through the front door, adjusting the strap of a pack over his shoulder. He nods to the barkeep and touches 2 fingers to his brow. Not a wave, just a soft sign of gratitude. The barkeep nods in return. Another guest enters. A woman with dust on her sleeves and a walking stick wrapped in cloth. She steps carefully, as if each movement has meaning. She carries nothing else. No sack, no pouch, no visible weight. But you can tell she's been on the road a long time. The barkeep's daughter brings her water. The woman drinks half of it in one slow breath, then closes her eye. Near the back of the room, the man with the lute has begun tuning it. His fingers pluck each string gently. Not for performance, not even for song, just to stretch the sound, to let the room remember what music feels like. He doesn't sing, the notes are enough. Each tone hangs in the warm afternoon air, like a ribbon, then fades gently against the stone walls. You feel it more than hear it, like a soft breeze in your ribs, like something brushing just behind your ear. Outside the wind picks up. You hear it slip past the shutter. You hear leaves rattling in the gutter. A branch creaks. A bird lands on the roof. Then nothing. Someone begins to mend a boot in the far corner. A thick needle passing through leather. The slow pull of sinew thread. Each stitch makes a soft sound, like paper being folded. They hum quietly to themselves. A tune that doesn't follow a pattern. You lift your cup again. The drink inside is new. Something with dried mint, maybe, or elderflower. It cools your mouth and warms your chest. You drink slowly, letting the flavors find their way. A child appears in the doorway. She's not alone. Her mother stands just behind her watching. The child walks up to the barkeep and places something small in his hand. A handful of small knotted wildflowers tied with a blade of grass. He nods, says nothing, but he puts them in a clay cup near the wall. They stay there. No one questions them. The tavern is always collecting things. A voice at a table near the window begins telling a story. Something about a man who once drank too much mead and woke up in a cart full of geese. The details don't matter. It isn't the story that makes people smile. It's the way it's told. Slowly. With pauses. With wide eyes and exaggerated hands. Laughter rises. But not loud. Not sharp. Just warm. You don't laugh. You just let it pass through you. You look around again. The wall of trinkets is still growing. Someone has added a dried orange peel in the shape of a spiral. Someone else has tucked a note behind an old button. You don't read it. You don't need to. The light has shifted again. More golden now, softer at the edge. Outside the road glimmers with dust. You hear the faint echo of a hammer. Maybe the blacksmith. Maybe someone working on a wheel. It's far away. It doesn't disturb you. Inside, the floor creaks only when someone moves. The dog is asleep again, curled under the table, one paw twitching, as if chasing something in its dream. A pair of sparrows land on the windowsill, peck once at the wood, then fly away. Someone sets down a plate. Someone picks up a cup. The barkeep wipes a table, even though it's already clean. Everything is gentle. Everything is meant. You glance at the stairs. They're empty now. Quiet, but you wonder who might arrive tonight. What boots will creak across the floor? What cloaks will drip from the rain? What words will be whispered? What stories will be left behind? But for now, you remain, in the golden hush, in the smell of rosemary and old wood, in the low hum of a string, in the sound of a spoon stirring, in the breath between thoughts. You're not thinking of leaving. And the tavern, old, warm, tired but always watching, isn't thinking of letting you go. The beams of sunlight that had once filled the tavern are growing longer now. They no longer strike the floor with gold. Instead, they slant across the benches in wide amber ribbons. Dust dances quietly in their light, moving like soft, invisible threads being pulled by the hand of time. You sit still on your bench. The same one. It feels like it's known you forever now. Your cup is half full. The tea has cooled, but it still tastes gentle, mint, or nettle, or something you can't quite name. It calms your chest. Around you, the room has gone quiet again. Not empty, not hushed, just quiet. The lute player has tucked his instrument away. He wraps it in a faded linen cloth and places it gently at his feet. He rests his arms on the table and gazes out the window without needing to look at anything, just letting the light land on his face. The woman mending the boot has finished. She now runs her fingers over the stitches one final time, then folds the boot into a cloth bag and tucks it beneath her seat. Her hands rest still. She doesn't speak. You look toward the trinket wall again. Another item has been added. A ribbon made of blue wool, tied into a neat little loop. It rests next to the dried orange peel. The ribbon is frayed at the ends, but it's still blue, a strong, steady kind of blue. Everything on the wall seems to breathe with the tavern. The dog is now awake but hasn't moved far. Its head rests on its paw. Its eyes are half-lidded, watching a beam of sun crawl across the stone hearth. It doesn't bark, doesn't twitch, just watches, the way only old dogs do. A woman by the window starts singing, very softly. Her voice is almost too quiet to hear. She doesn't sing for attention. It's not a song meant for performance. It's the kind of tune someone hums to themselves when folding sheets, or turning bread, or remembering someone. The barkeep doesn't look up. but you see him slow his movements. He listens too. A guest walks in through the front door. You hear it before you see them. The latch click, the groan of the wood, the squeak of a hinge that's never been oiled and never needs to be. The traveler who enters carries a bundle under one arm and a walking stick in the other. Their boots are muddy. Their cloak is faded, striped with old dust. They move slowly, like someone who has walked for a long, long time. They say nothing. The barkeep nods. A cup is placed in front of them. A plate, a bowl of oats. Even though it's no longer morning, no one asks. No one minds. The traveler eats in silence. Carefully, outside the wind has picked up again. It rustles the shutters. You hear it moving through the trees. A soft hush, like the sound of a woolen sleeve brushing against stone. It makes you want to close your eyes. You don't, not yet, but your breath slows. The barkeep lights a candle. The first one of the evening, just one. He doesn't rush to light the others, just this one. Placed on the corner of the bar, its flame flickers, then steadies, casting a circle of orange against the gathering dim. The fire is low again. You hear the barkeep stir it with an iron poker. Embers shift. A few sparks rise and vanish. He adds one log, just one, and sets the poker aside. The daughter returns with a cloth and a broom. She sweeps slowly now. Not because the floor is dirty, but because it feels like something to do. A sound to hold the silence together. You hear boots thump upstairs. Someone waking from a nap, or arriving late, or thinking of leaving. You look again at the door. No one enters, not yet. The light outside is beginning to change. The blue of the sky deepens slightly. Not dusk, not yet, but the brightness has softened. The sharpness has gone out of the day. Another candle is lit, then another, and you begin to feel the tavern shifting again. From day, into whatever comes next. There's no line, no moment, no bell to mark the time. Just the way the walls feel closer. The air feels warmer. The silence thickens slightly. The way you find yourself leaning forward now. Elbows on the table. Hands cupped around your drink. The stew is being stirred again. The scent returns. Rich, nutty, faintly sweet. This one is made for nighttime. Someone by the hearth speaks. Not loudly, just a question about the road ahead. Someone else answers. Two voices, old and kind, passing knowledge like folded cloth. You finish the last of your cup, and the moment holds you. Not in noise, not in story, not in movement, just in presence. You are here. And so is the tavern, and neither of you needs anything more than that. You notice it first in the light. The warmth has shifted. Where golden beams once streamed across the floor, now there are soft pockets of candle glow, and orange flicker from the hearth. Shadows deepen between the tables. The walls seem closer. Not from pressure, but from comfort. The barkeep has lit 3 more candles. One rests near the trinket wall, throwing faint light across the objects left behind. Another sits on the windowsill, just above a bowl of herbs. The third glows near the corner where the dog has returned, now curled again, tail tucked gently beneath its chin. Outside, dusk has begun. The sky is violet and fading. Pulled down behind the trees, you can just barely make out the outline of chimney smoke from another cottage nearby. A horse's hooves echo faintly in the distance, muffled by the wettening road. Inside, the tavern hums again, not with noise, but with presence. You sit in the same spot. The bench remembers your weight now. Your hands cradle a warm cup. The barkeep moves slower now, but his rhythm is unchanged. You hear him slicing something soft on the cutting board. Maybe apples or turnip, or bread soaked in wine. The sound is quiet and rhythmic, like rain against an old roof. The fire is stronger. Its light climbs the ceiling in waves. Shadows of the iron pot sway gently across the walls. The flames whisper. The room breathes. Someone near the hearth strikes a flint. A second candle joins the rest, its flame catching on the first try. The woman who lights it doesn't speak. She simply sets it beside a bowl of lentils and turns her attention back to her stitching. You notice her needle glinting in the firelight. Another guest arrives. This one is older, wrapped in a cloak of rough wool. dust still clinging to the head. He walks slowly, placing each foot carefully, like someone who knows the floorboards will speak if rushed. He carries a satchel made of dark leather, patched in 2 places, and something about the shape suggests it holds only paper. The barkeep greets him with the smallest of nods. They don't speak, not yet. The man takes a seat. The tavern accepts him without question. A bowl is placed before him. Steam curls upward. He rests his hand beside it for a long moment before eating. You take a deep breath. The air smells of onion, herbs, earth and wax, and something else, something older, the smell of wood that's been warmed and cooled 100,000 times, the smell of people staying. The music returns, not from the lute this time, but from a reed pipe, very faint. Someone plays it near the wall, just a few notes at a time, like someone remembering how. The tune is slow, with long pauses between breaths. The barkeep's daughter begins to hum again. That same tune, as if it had always belonged to her. You sip your drink. This one is darker. Mead, you think. Or ale. But softened by honey and a hint of something floral. It doesn't bite, it settles. You feel it low in your chest. Not as fire but as weight. As calm. A child sleeps in the far corner now. Her face pressed against a folded cloak. Fingers curled into a ball. Her mother rests beside her, one hand on her back, eyes half closed. She's not asleep, just very still. The door opens again. A young man enters, carrying a bundle of firewood. He walks straight to the hearth without being told. He sets the wood beside the fire, lifts a single log, and places it carefully into the flames. They rise in greeting. He doesn't stay. He leaves again, closing the door behind him, with a softness that almost can't be taught. The tavern darkens just a little more. Not with shadow, but with depth. Each voice now carries weight. Each footstep knows where it lands. Each sip from a cup is a choice. The man with the satchel removes a piece of parchment and begins to write. Not quickly, one word at a time, as if the page can only handle so much. He writes by candlelight. His quill makes the tiniest scratch, like wind through dry grass. The woman with the stitching finishes her thread and ties it in a knot. She places the cloth on the table beside her. It's a small square, but something about it feels important, like it will outlast everything else in the room. Outside, you hear the first drop of rain. Not a storm, not even a drizzle, just one drop. Then another. Then 3 more. Then the soft patter of water on old shingles, on mud, on the leaves just beyond the shutters. The tavern does not respond. It already knew the rain was coming. You take another sip. You shift on the bench. The wood creaks gently beneath you. Someone begins to speak. A story maybe, or a memory. Their voice is soft. But others lean in. You don't catch the beginning. You don't need to. The warmth of the room tells you it's worth hearing. A bowl of stew is placed before you. No questions asked, no price named, just placed. It smells rich. Mushrooms, maybe. Wild herbs, something browned in oil. You take a bite. It fills your mouth like music. The spoon feels old in your hand, worn smooth, curved perfectly. You wonder how many other mouths it's fed. The candles flicker. The pipe plays 2 more notes. Someone laughs. Just once. And the rain falls a little harder now. Soft, steady, surrounding the tavern like a second set of walls. The dog stretches, the fire cracks, and the world outside slips quietly into darkness. But in here, in this old room of beams and bowls and breath and bread and stories and steam, in here it is still light, it is still warm, it is still you. The windows are dark now, not from shutters, not from soot, just from the night itself, the kind of night that falls like wool, heavy and soft. You can't see much beyond the glass, just streaks of rain catching the glow of the candles, just shadows moving where the world used to be. Inside the tavern, the fire is king again. Its light stretches across the floor in wide, slow strokes. The stone of the hearth glows deep orange. The logs shift and pop and hiss, As rain begins to steam against the chimney stones above, you are still in your seat. The bench beneath you is warm now. Not just from fire, but from time. From hours passed in slow breaths and gentle sips. From stories left unsaid and meals that filled you without ever needing your name. The stew is finished. Your bowl is empty, but you haven't moved. No one asks you to. The barkeep moves from candle to candle, trimming wicks, lowering flames. The room grows dimmer, not darker, just closer. The corners seem softer. The edges fade. The guests left are fewer now. The old man with the rope, hand still sits near the fire. He has stopped speaking. His eyes are closed, but he is not asleep. He listens, not with ears but with something older, something in his bones. The woman who lit the candle now rests her head on the table. Her hands are folded beneath her cheek. Her stitching lies beside her. Finished or not, it doesn't matter. The pipe player has stopped, but the echo of the tune lingers. It hangs in the space between breath and thought. You hum it quietly, just once, without knowing you knew it. Outside the rain speaks louder. Not angry, not wild, just constant, like fingers on parchment, like boots in mud, like the sound of sleep arriving in careful layers. The door opens, just slightly. A breeze enters, cold, damp, carrying the scent of pine and smoke and something that feels like memory. A figure enters, soaked, cloaked, hood drawn low. They move with purpose, but no urgency. They carry a wrapped bundle beneath one arm, long, thin, like a stick or a roll of cloth. They place it gently on the bench and remove their cloak. Underneath a simple tunic, a belt, no weapon, no boots, just wool socks soaked through. The barkeep hands them a towel. No word, just the exchange of care. They sit. Steam rises from their shoulders. The fire welcomes them like it always does. Not with warmth, but with recognition. A bowl appears. Another cup. The traveler does not rush. They eat slowly, one spoon at a time, one sip at a time. The barkeep's daughter lights 2 more candles. Not for brightness, just to balance the room. Their flames shimmer against the walls, against the mugs, against the empty bowls and the thread left on tables. You watch the candlelight play across the dog's fur as it shifts in its sleep. A small group begins to murmur by the hearth. Their words are low, gentle, the sound of people speaking with eyes half closed. No arguments, no plans, just sharing. You pick up your spoon again, though you aren't hungry. You just want to hold it. It's warm in your hand, familiar. The barkeep walks past, nodding slightly. You nod back. The whole tavern seems to nod with you. You listen to the rain. You listen to the way the logs shift in the fire. You listen to the breath of the guest next to you. No one here is waiting for anything. There is no next, no before, just now. The barkeep reaches behind the counter and pulls out a small wooden box. He opens it slowly. Inside, thin strips of dried fruit, wrapped in paper. He takes one, offers it to the traveler, then another to the woman at the table, then one to you. You chew it slowly. It tastes of apples, dried with cinnamon, soft at the edges but still strong, like something meant to last through winter. The guest with the satchel begins to write again. The quill scratches across the parchment. You don't look at the words, but you feel their shape. They're not letters, just thoughts. Slow, wide thoughts, written without the need to be understood. The child near the hearth stirs in her sleep. Her mother adjusts her cloak, pulls it higher over the small shoulders. She sighs, long, low, and satisfied. A new log is placed on the fire. The flames don't jump, they shift, like water settling. The dog stretches, someone yawns, and then everything returns to stillness. You are not tired, but you are quieter than you've ever been. You lean your head against the wall behind you. You feel the grain of the wood. You feel the heat of the candle on your skin. You feel your own breath, slow, even, trusted. The trinket wall is nearly full now, but not crowded. Each item knows its space. Each thread, each stone, each dried flower, each one placed like a whisper left behind. You think of leaving, but only in the same way you think of snow. Distant, real. But not today, not now, because now, You are part of the tavern. You are one of its quiet sounds. You are one of its fading lights. You are part of the warmth, the breath, the pause, and the night is just beginning. The rain has not stopped. It falls steadily now. Not heavier, not lighter, just consistent, like breath, like thought, like the world gently reminding you that it is still turning. The shutters are closed, the window panes fogged. Outside, the world has vanished. Inside, only fire and wax remain. The hearth still burns, not with flame now, but with deep glowing red. Embers like coals in a dragon's belly, old and quiet and alive. The stone glows faintly. The logs are half collapsed, their edges slowly darkening into ash. The candles have burned low, each one a small sun, each one whispering. Their flames tremble gently in the currents of breath that move unseen through the tavern. You are still there. You have not moved much, but your body has shifted into stillness. Your limbs rest loosely. Your hands are open. Your back leans against the wood behind you. You are no longer thinking about how you sit. You are simply sitting. Across the room, the old man sleeps. Head bowed, hands folded. A mug sits untouched before him. Candlelight reflected in the ripples of its surface. The woman and child have both fallen into slumber. Their breaths rise and fall together, one curled around the other like a question and its answer. The trinket wall watches over them. It holds the weight of 100 stories, 100 names, 100 quiet goodbyes. The barkeep is still awake. He stands behind the counter, polishing a cup, even though no one needs it. His movements are slow, not tired, just unrushed. He looks out across the tavern, not with expectation, but with care, with the gaze of someone who has watched many nights become morning. The dog stirs again. It shifts beneath the table and rests its head on your foot. Not seeking attention, just proximity. The fire cracks. Just once. A spark escapes and dies in the ash. Outside, the wind has changed direction. It presses against the shutters with soft insistence. A hinge creaks gently, and still no one speaks. There is no need. The silence is complete. Not because it is empty, but because it is full. The guest with the satchel writes his final lines. He folds the parchment, seals it with a tiny drop of wax, and places it into his bag. He closes his eyes, breathes once, and leans back. The traveler who arrived wet is now dry. Their cloak hangs beside the hearth, their bundle still unopened. They sleep on the bench, knees drawn up, arms folded. One by one, the guests have become part of the furniture, part of the structure, part of the room. And so have you. You have lost count of time. You no longer know if it is midnight, or 1, or something older. All you know is this. The tavern still holds you, and it is not asking you to leave. The barkeep's daughter appears again. She doesn't speak. She places a small cloth over the shoulders of the traveler. She moves to the hearth, adds one last piece of wood. Dry, narrow, clean. It catches slowly. The fire glows again. Just enough. Not for light, for warmth. The candles are burning shorter. One flickers, then wavers, then fades. No one replaces it. The barkeep looks up, notices, and simply lets it go. One fewer flame, one more shadow. But even the shadows feel warm here. Even the darkness feels chosen. You close your eyes, just for a moment. You open them again. The same room, the same fire, the same hum. You realize something, suddenly and without fear. You could stay here forever. Not in this night, not in this hour, but in this way of sitting, of not needing to explain, of not needing to listen, of simply being, and being welcome. The tavern does not speak, but it says yes to everything you are. You sigh, you stretch your fingers, you feel the grain of the table under your palm. It's been here longer than you, it will be here long after, and yet for now, it is yours. The fire shifts again, More ash now, more quiet. The barkeep closes his eyes for a moment, just a moment. The dog sighs, and you forget where you came from. You forget where you're going, because all that matters, all that exists, is this breath, this glow, this place, here in the middle of the night, here, where the stories sleep, here, where the chairs remember, here, where the rain is a blanket, here, in the old tavern that has always waited for you. There is no clock, no hourglass, no tolling bell, no rooster, just the silence of deep night, the silence of what the world sounds like when it forgets itself. The tavern has grown so still it feels like it's holding its breath. You are still awake, not because you chose to be, not because something stirs in your chest, just because you are. And the tavern is awake with you. The fire has become a soft red glow, barely a flame left, mostly light from memory. Coals nestle deep in the heart of the hearth. Shadows fall long across the floor, stretching past the legs of tables and benches. Like sleeping limbs, the shutters do not rattle anymore. The rain has gentled to a mist. Somewhere, beyond the stone walls, the earth is wet and still. You hear it, not with ears but with skin. The candle closest to you is almost gone. Its stub has burned low, wax puddled and hardened into little curls against the wooden plate beneath it. The flame leans to one side, then steadies, then leans again, like a boat rocking gently in the soft tide of the dark. You lift your eyes. Across the room, very little has changed. The old man still rests near the fire, arms now crossed over his chest. His breathing is slower now, not labored, not deep, just content, like a man who has spoken all the words he needed in his life. The satchel traveler has drifted into full sleep, his parchment safely folded, his eyes closed, his head resting lightly against the wall. He has become part of the wood, part of the quiet, part of the history. The woman and child stir in their sleep, once, then are still again. The barkeep sits now, on a stool behind the counter. He's stopped moving. His arms rest on the bar top. His hands are folded, his eyes not quite shut, but low, heavy. He watches the last light with the stillness of someone who has seen it fade 1,000 times before. You're not sure when the last guest arrived. Maybe no one did. Maybe someone always arrives in a dream, in a breath, in the gentle creak of a floorboard that you can't quite place. The trinket wall watches everything. It gleams faintly. Threads, coins, a single dried flower. The blue ribbon is still there. The button, the orange peel, all faint shapes in shadow now, but still present. Still real, still remembering. You rest your hand against the table. The grain is smoother than you remember. It's warm under your fingertips. You don't know how many people have sat here. You don't need to. Their warmth lingers, not like ghosts, but like kindness that won't forget you. The dog sighs. You almost forgot he was there. He turns once in his sleep and lets out a soft rolling breath. His tail shifts. He stretches one paw. Then stillness again. You notice the smell of ash. Not smoke, not fire, just the scent of something that has burned and been honored for it. You sit back. You close your eyes, not to sleep, just to feel. You hear the tavern's breath now, the way the rafters creak. Not loudly, just gently. The sound of timber shifting in the cool air. Ease, the way the embers pulse, the way the candle whispers. Even silence makes sound here. You realize you have not spoken in hours, and yet you have said everything you needed. To the room, to yourself. The door has stayed closed for some time now. No new guests, no rain inside, only the hum of deep night, only the kind of dark that feels safe. The barkeep does not rise. He simply watches. In the tavern, this living, breathing, remembering thing wraps itself around the last of the hours like a blanket pulled higher. There are no songs now, no tale, no laughter. Just be. You lean forward slightly, elbows on the table, and for the first time you rest your head on your arm. The wood beneath your cheek is warm, familiar, forgiving. You feel your breath settle. You feel your thoughts quiet. You feel yourself melt into the room. You are not visitor anymore. You are part of the walls, the grain, the air. The fire blinks low. The candle flickers a final time. And then, stillness. And that stillness does not ask for sleep. It asks for nothing at all. Only that you be here. And that you stay. Just a little longer. Something has changed. You feel it before you see it. Not sound. Not light. Just a presence. A shift. Like the air holding something new. The candle beside you is gone now. Burned down to nothing but a puddled ring of wax. The wick curled in on itself. Cold. At rest. The embers in the hearth are faint. Still warm. Still glowing. But soft now. Ash dusts the stone like snow. And somewhere, faint, so faint, you might be imagining it. A single bird begins to sing. Not a full song. Just one note. Held. Released. Then gone. But it's enough. Enough to know that the night has thinned. You lift your head. The table beneath your cheek is warm. The bench creaks as you move. Not in protest. In welcome. The dog beside you stirs. He opens one eye. Yawns. Slow and silent. Then closes it again. The barkeep is still seated behind the counter. His chin rests in his hand. His eyes are open. He nods to you. A tiny movement. As if to say yes. You're still here. Yes. It's still safe. Across the room. Someone moves. The traveler with the satchel stretches. Rises slowly. Adjusts their coat. They look at the trinket wall. Consider it. Then reach into their pocket. And place something new. You can't see what it is. But it joins the others like it's always belonged. The fire sighs. A last faint crack. You glance at the shutters. The edge of the world outside has turned from black to blue. Not full light. But the promise of it. A cool, distant softness. The first idea of morning. The tavern doesn't rush. The barkeep doesn't speak. No one stirs the stew. No cups are filled. There is no need. Because the tavern has done its work. It held the night. It wrapped it in warmth. It gave sleep a place to sit. It gave your breath somewhere to land. The child still sleeps. Her mother still holds her. The dog lifts its head for a moment. Sniffs the air. Then rents it again. The trinket wall catches the first soft glint of light. A gold thread on the edge of a button. A shimmer across dried earth. Not shining. Just seen. The barkeep stands. He stretches slowly. Walks to the fire. And places one new log onto the coals. It catches almost immediately. A flicker. A rise. A small flare. Not for heat. Not for show. Just to begin again. You feel your limbs. They are heavier now. Not tired. Just full. Full of stillness. Full of warmth. The tavern has kept you. All night. All through the shifts of shadow and story. You did not need to speak. You did not need to move. You only needed to be here. And it was enough. The door creaks. Outside the rain has stopped. The ground is damp. The sky is soft. You can hear a rooster in the distance. A low cartwheel turning on wet gravel. The tiniest breeze. Someone will open the door soon. But not yet. Not until the room finishes this moment. This breath between night and day. This last ember of silence. You rise slowly. You place your hand on the table. Just once. A goodbye. Not a sad one. Then you turn toward the trinket wall. And without thinking, without planning, you reach into your coat and leave something behind. You don't look at what it is. It doesn't matter. It's yours. It's the tavern's now. And it will be here for someone else. The barkeep nods once more. You nod in return. No words. Only present. And then, if you're still awake, then I think you have to see the video from the 17th minute of the story. Or play this side video as it may help you sleep better. Goodbye.